Great. Good evening, everyone. How's everybody doing? Good, good. I wanted to take an opportunity to come out and just, bring you up to speed on a couple things. But first off, who went to the community forum the other day? Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the stuff that was there, mainly just a couple things. The first thing is we're going to be doing a lot of great things in 2014, one of which that I think is going to affect, you guys the most is predictive policing. We're going to take a new technology, a new approach to law enforcement and deploying our field forces and bring that into Gardena. Now, this is all pretty new stuff. LAPD is trying it in a couple divisions. Alhambra just finished a year-long test. I think we'll probably be about the third agency in LA County to do that. There's not many agencies in California doing it. And what we're going to do is mix a little bit of technology, science, evidence-based practices with good old intuition and police work. So what this system does is it takes all our crime data for a number of years, puts it into a computer system, and it gives us these what we call predictive boxes. They're 500 feet by 500 feet. And we're asking the officers to hit those boxes about 25% of their time during the patrol shift. So does somebody have a map I could borrow real quick? One of those, yeah. Yeah, perfect. So let's just say that these are some of the boxes, predictive boxes. And it's in this area right here. We're asking the officers to patrol that area and be inside those boxes within this speed about 25% of the time. And the question is why? Well, there's two reasons. One, that's where the computer says crime is likely to occur. So we're trying to predict what's going to happen. We're trying to have our personnel there rather than being reactive, proactive, and we're trying to prevent crimes from occurring. Now, one of the products of that is hopefully we'll make some arrests as well, but the deterrent value I think is even more important. The second part, and I think is equally important and something that you have to understand from a law enforcement executive's perspective is I'm trying to also change the patrol patterns for our police officers. Our police officers generally stick, not always, but generally stick most of their time to the major thoroughfares. That's just where most of the activity has. If you lay all the police activity self-initiated, all over Gardena, you could see it's all along the big streets. So what I want to do is change those patrol patterns and get them into where? The neighborhoods. Get them into the commercial areas. Get them into areas at different times and different places where they normally wouldn't be. We have to continue to evolve as an organization and in law enforcement so that we can ensure we're staying a little ahead of the game. I think all of us here know that burglaries are on the rise. We're not unique here. Torrance is, I just spoke to the Torrance chief, over 100% increase in burglaries. Other cities, 100%. Wow. Other cities has had the same things. Ours went up considerably, but I use those numbers, but I consider, maybe last year they had 40 burglaries, this year they have 80. We're about 22 to 25 more residential burglaries we are this year than we had last year. That's a lot. And we continue to try to evolve. We're going to put $50,000 towards patrol-based special projects, uniformed personnel in areas to go along with predictive policing, to try to do everything that we can to stop that. But I just had this discussion with Lieutenant Fox. Sorry about that. But I was talking to him when he was a burglary detective. And we were talking about how do we make arrests? What's the number one way we make burglary arrests? Can anybody guess?
Neighbors calling.
Somebody calling. Somebody calling. The other part is us getting lucky, making a stop, whether it be a subject stop, a vehicle stop, a bike stop with some people who have stolen property. Then the third one is more like forensically, like we get their fingerprints, DNA, etc. So your role in this is hugely important, and you can never understate that role. When things are getting tough, that's the time that we need to be more committed and being vigilant to what's going on in our communities. Because right now, we need it. We need you to pick up the phone. We need you to get involved and call in on those things that are suspicious or that don't seem right. No one here knows your neighborhood and who should be there better than you. Absolutely nobody. When I was working dope, you'd show out in a neighborhood and you'd try to hide and pretend like you were undercover. If somebody was really watching out, they'd know you were there in a second. You're like, who's that car and why is he ducking down that car and why is there tinted windows, etc. And you see that stuff talk. But I want you to know that because of realignment and the change in the criminal justice system, there's a lot more of them out there. And as quickly as we arrest them, they have a replacement, a trained replacement. And you're like, what do you mean trained? These elements that are coming in here right now are organized criminal street gangs who are coming in and ravaging not only Gardena, Torrance, I just heard, even in the Santa Clarita Valley, all over the place. And they recruit kids, and maybe not kids, and when one of them gets arrested, guess what? There's another recruit right behind him. So it's not just making the arrest, it's making and going back and finding out where that root source is and attacking the gang. Even though it's not like the traditional gangs you see out there hanging out, shooting it up, it's still organized. And attacking the people who are getting rid of the stolen merchandise. I'll give you an example. The other night, one of our patrol officers who just got done as a rotation in Detective Bureau was out. They had a burglary case. They were able to work that case up, and because he was an already experienced investigator, they were able to determine where the suspects took that stolen property. The detective himself wrote the officer who wrote the search warrant. When the detectives came in, they served it together, and it was placed as a fencing operation. Does everybody know what a fencing operation is? It's where people take all kinds of stolen stuff and they sell it. They give you pennies on the dollar for what things are worth, and they turn around and sell it, whether it's themselves to other people or to pawn shops or to other retail stores, wherever. That's the kind of disruption we need, because arresting the guy does one thing, but you have to get to the next level, and that's hugely important. The other thing I want to talk about, and Charlotte talked a little bit about, is emergency preparedness. A huge focus for us this year. Our city council gave us $150,000. We hired a consultant. We're well on our way getting a new emergency preparedness plan. We're investing in a lot of training in our employees. We're buying equipment. We're trying to make Gardena one of the safest and most emergency prepared communities in this region. But it also takes that partnership again with all of you. Signing up for CERT, making yourself self-sufficient, attending some of those trainings, which are free, and getting out there and making sure that you can sustain yourself, because she's right. We're going to do our best to help everybody, but it might be a couple days before we get the resources in place, or maybe a week, to really help. And during that time, guess what? You're going to need food. You're going to need water. You're going to need to be able to go to the bathroom. You're going to need to be able to take care of all of those things that you need to take care of. You might have pets. You might have medication issues. You might have small children. All of these considerations, you have to take that on as your own responsibility. You really do. And partnering with all of the training that we're offering, take advantage of it, and get self-sufficient. Know how to turn off your gas. Know how to flip a breaker. Know all those things that you need to do, and know your neighbors. Well, I'm kind of speaking to the choir here because you guys are all together. But if you don't know your neighbors, introduce yourself. The last time you want to meet somebody, we talk about this in police work all the time. Police work is a lot about networks and getting to know people and having relationships. The first time you don't want to meet somebody for the first time when you're out in a major incident, things are chaotic. You want to know your partnering agencies, because that's not the time to make friends, right? And then I'll just close with two things. One, if you haven't had an opportunity to download our GPD app, please do it. It's really simple. If you have an iPhone or Android, it's a Gardena PD is an app name, and you're like, why? It's got a bunch of great features. One of the great features is you can report anything by using this one button, report. People take pictures of graffiti, and it gives you where the graffiti's at automatically and sends it to us. We check it every day. Trash, I got one today for trash. Oh yeah, pass it around. Trash on Redondo Beach Boulevard. Somebody was driving down the street, took a picture of the trash. It comes right to us. We got our crews right out there. You see a suspicious vehicle, anything, use the app for that. Don't use it for, when you need the cops there right away, because that's not what it's for. There's also some great information on the app about what's going on, who's missing, who's missing. You can commend an officer. Crime broadcast is huge. I talked about distraction burglaries, fumigation burglaries, cold case information. It's all in there at your fingertips. Who carries their phone around all the time? Use it as a tool to help us. That's the bottom line. Yeah. Yeah, it's Gardena PD is the app. It'll look like this.
And you have a directory.
Directory, you need phone numbers. All of our missing people are on there. All of our wanted people are on there.
You can file a police report on there.
You can get a link to file a police report, absolutely, yeah.
You can take pictures picture of your property before it's stolen.
Yeah, there's a real cool property feature. You can take all your property, the serial numbers, and keep it in your phone, so if it gets stolen, you have that with you. It's really an amazing device. It's free. That's a good one. And it's really helpful to us. I can see it already, you know, helping with that adopt the block, people going out and taking pictures and sending that into us and getting our areas cleaned up. So the mayor does it all the time. He sends me pictures all the time. You know, he's invested in the community, how he wants to see it look. When he sees graffiti, he sends me a picture, and I try to get it down right away. Not only because it's my boss, but it's our job, you know. So take advantage of that thing. And then last, we love being, you know, part of the solution, but we're not the only solution. Definitely these partnerships, as I speak about all the time, the partnerships are hugely important to making us successful. We got to continue to work together. And even though sometimes it gets frustrating and the laws are sometimes working against us and you're wondering what your politicians are doing with the criminal justice system, we still have to stick together because we have to get together. I'm not going to be a chief that's going to be up here and walk the line and tell you this are all the good things that our legislature is doing, because it's not. I'm telling you exactly how I feel because I think you deserve to know. And if you want me to be your chief that's going to be honest with you, I'm going to do that for you. I don't like the changes in our justice system. Hopefully, you know, we'll get our heads screwed on straight and start heading in the right direction. In the meantime, what we have is each other to work together. That's all we can do. Well, once again, thank you. Thank you for letting me go first.